first. Well, hello there, everyone. This is Eva from Heart to Heart, and I'm sitting here this couple of days before New Year's Eve with Johnnie, Womack, and Cody Bryce. Welcome, Johnnie and Cody.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good to
Even though
have
I'm
you.
jumping around. Sorry, everyone, for the stuff going on up there.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty amazing when you raised your hands. It went right up there. Yeah, have your own little sideshow thing. So how are you? Are you good?
I'm great. Glad to
Yeah.
have Cody back with us.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's been absent, but he's now present here and thriving. And we are going to have a topic here about unleashing our superpowers, and that is something that we should continue from something that began with Express and Manifest and Johnny's talk about superpowers. So I'm going to say, Johnny, take it away.
Thank you. You know, doing my talk on Express and Manifest was I always find it difficult to just talk to myself through a monitor, so I always like to have some people around. So I kind of touched on at the end of my talk about how to express and manifest your superpowers within, and we touched on how it's not enough to know that you're a superhero. You have to embody it and be it and to know it. And I use as an example, there's a lot of Superman movies that I have always loved, and Superman learning that he was a superhero and learning to use his superpowers on the earth when he thought he was just a human, like everyone else. And so I recently was led to watch Man of Steel, which is a more recent superhero movie of Superman, and Henry Cavill plays Superman, and I was totally blown away by watching it again, which I didn't see the big picture and the little picture, what I call the big picture and the little picture, before as much as I did this time. And in this Man of Steel movie, it expresses more of how difficult it was for him to accept who he was. And, you know, as a kid, he was growing up, and his father told him that he had special powers, his Earth father, but he didn't want to be different. And he was ridiculed and teased by the kids, and very careful not to show that he had any super strength or anything. So he didn't want to be different. He didn't want to be mocked. And one time the school bus he was on, when he was probably, I would say he was in junior high, barely, the school bus went off the road on a bridge into a river and went totally under. And he knew that everyone was going to die if he didn't help. So he pushed the bus out, and one student, one of his friends, saw him. It wasn't his friend, he was the kid that always bullied him, and he never bullied him again. But moving on, further on, when he was an adult, he was still having problems with being who he was, because there was the other side of it, that people thought he has too much power, and what if he takes over the world? So it went from one extreme to the other. And then the evil superheroes came into play, and he saved the world, and finally people realized he was serving the good, serving the light. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, inside of all of us, we have the superpowers that were given to us by Creator Source. And how that is given to us is through our DNA and our blood. And there's recently a book out by can't think of his name right now, Greg Braden, called The God Code. And he talks about how we have the God code in our DNA. And so if you think about this and think about all the, how we've been not accessing our superpowers all of our life. And if we look at the Man of Steel and how he had to learn to embody his gifts and to not be ashamed of it and to help mankind. So that's what our gifts are. We have the same gifts. And if you want to get biblical, if you go to Sananda, Yeshua, Jesus, he said the same thing. What I can do, you can do. So it's something that I've realized in my whole life. I had knowledge. I had all this knowledge of years and years and years of being awakened in books, and I was loving it all. But one thing was missing. I wasn't embodying it. I wasn't becoming all the things that I knew were there, what was true. So that's what's missing. A lot of us have the knowledge, but we don't practice embodying it. A little example I can give is in Buddhism. You can learn to be, the ways of the Buddhists and doing that, but till you start practicing meditation, and that is when the magic happens. So I always have realized that prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening to God. And so Paramahansa Yogananda was one of my biggest teachers, and he always taught to see the big picture and the little picture. And that's what, once he was asked if he liked to go to the movies, and he said, yes, I do like to go to the movies. I like to see the big picture and the little picture. And so therefore, that's what led me to always look at the big picture and the little picture. And that's why I love, like, movies like Cody does. We see all this stuff from a different perspective by looking at the big picture and the little picture. And so Cody and I have talked before on the things we like about some of the movies we see. And so it's really exciting to have other people see that. And I don't know if Cody wants to add anything to this. So.
Yes, yeah, that's very good. I would like to touch on the belief system as being your foundation of unlocking those powers within, that power within, and that if you have the right belief system below you or within you, it makes it so much easier to do the things that you are always capable of doing. You just didn't realize. So the belief system is kind of paramount to that whole thing. And visualization is always my favorite way of kind of unlocking it within me. And with, the whole pictures, or not pictures, but movies, big picture and little picture. I always like anime that usually have some type of, superhero type of magic or whatever, because you get to almost feel what they're doing energetically through you, or within me, I should say. Like a classic Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z and all that, Goku and all that type of stuff. It's a more of a classic-ish type of anime. When they have these like power ups or whatever, you know, they start glowing, the hair changes and all that type of stuff. I can feel that within me of almost like oh, that's like a next stage of me that I could tap into. And so I use that visualization of me, you know, charging up, so to speak, within me and having this aura around me kind of burst out. And so I start, you know, expanding from that. And it's a good way of kind of upping the energy within you and being able to do a lot of different things that you normally wouldn't be able to do. So yeah.
That's awesome. I want to tell everyone that Cody is not one to talk about himself, but he has practiced what most of us haven't, and he truly is one that can help everyone access to give ideas and to give knowledge, because he's done it. And I recently feel like I'm connecting and doing it, but I don't have as many years under my belt as Cody does. But just giving everyone an example, when he used his crystals on the last episode Eva and I had with Cody, I literally shot out of my body for the first time. I went to a supernova, went around it like with this, like Superman going around the earth really fast. And then I told myself to slow down, and I went in front of it, kind of hovered in front of it, and looked at it. And then I went back to earth. That is something that was so exciting, standing in front of a supernova, or floating in front of a supernova. I can't even explain to you how fabulous that is, you guys. And I just wanted to tell everybody that Cody, Bryce, yeah, let's all learn to access our power, because that was the most fun I've had in a long time. That was great.
I'm sorry, there's someone at my door right now, so I have to go and check my door real quick.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'll be back.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
okay.
So then I can pop in a question here. Like when you did float out of your body and went around the supernova, what happened? I mean, did you tap into any specific energy that you have been, you know, downloaded and using now? Or because we are in the midst of downloading, everything is happening. There are a lot of energies just pouring in, and there are light codes and downloads all over the place. So for me, when you describe this, it's a metaphor for that something happened to you that you are supposed to use and express.
Probably. It was such a shock, and it happened so fast, Eva. I don't remember. I don't know if I could consciously say that I was feeling any downloads. All I know is Cody has done the meditations with us before with the crystal, but that time he used the super powered one with the 2 crystals, and it just happened when we were. I wasn't expecting. I've read books about out-of-body experiences, but I've never experienced it for myself, and I was so shocked, but at the same time it was like so exciting, and I still think about it. And so it's one of the things that's led me to try to embody my knowledge, and I'm truly telling everyone that it works. You have to put in the effort, but you are your own superhero, but you do have to do the work. You can't let anyone else, someone can show you the way or say what they've gone through, but really you have to do the work, and it's worth the work. If you, all I can say is that I'm 76, and it was like so exciting for me to experience that.
So mainly you're saying like everybody has this power within themselves, and you just have to allow yourself to access them by training or acceptance, basically.
Well, it's like, yes, it's like what Cody said, but first of all, you have to come to know that it's possible. Or how did you put it, Cody?
Yeah, the belief system as your
Yes,
foundation.
yes,
Mhm.
that's the first step, because if you don't believe that you can do it or think about it, then why would you won't even try it, you know? So
So it's mind over matter.
Oh yes, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's so many things that I've done that would technically be called like, physically impossible, or, even, through physics itself, it'd be, against laws of physics or whatever. But when you know that your mind is what's creating the reality around you, you can bend those laws a little bit, So,
can you give an example?
example would be like, it's kind of hard to explain a lot of it, but being able to see through the blueprint of reality around you. So it's changing your vision, the frequencies that you allow into your eye. So you'd be able to change the light that you're actually seeing, which is one of the more visual ways of changing the laws of physics, which would be the actual wavelengths that
Mm.
that your eye should only be able to see certain wavelengths, between a certain range, but you can change it and you can shift it just slightly back and forth to, ultraviolet, or, you know, yeah, you can just shift it about back and forth a little bit. So that's a good, fun one for me. I like to do, but other ones would be kind of like changing the shape of your hands, kind of shifting your body within moments. So it's like you shouldn't be able to, or quote unquote, medically even shouldn't be able to like heal yourself in a very short amount of time. It usually has a specific time that the body has to take to heal. But you can have that mind over matter saying that I'm just going to shift to the frame that already has me healed. And therefore you're just shifting faster than what you normally would be shifting to that frame of healed state. Um, Stuff like that.
I can testify to that one too, Cody, because
Mhm.
I've been working on that, but instead of seeing the frame, because I didn't think about it that way, I just said,
Mhm.
I am already healed, I am already healed, I am
Yes.
already healed.
Mhm.
And I say it 3 times, and every time I feel the pain or whatever, I'll say it again. And it's like so fast, because before months, I fell on my shoulder in August, and I was still having problems with pain. And just recently I started doing that I am already healed, and it's already just significantly helped. So I'm working on that.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
When you were talking
Change.
about shifting the frames, I got this Matrix movie in my head, with the downloads of the computer program. So,
Yep.
but it's mainly what you are in the principle, the same thing that you are describing, just that you are moving the digits in the Matrix movie to frames of visualization. Or
Yes. Yeah. Well,
can
it's
you
it's
can
the
you talk
yeah,
a little bit more
a little
about
bit
that,
more.
because I think it's
Yeah.
important to share that
Yes.
knowledge.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it goes down to the mechanics of reality that you experience around you. We experience reality one frame at a time. So time, or movement, I should say, is an illusion. Like just like a frame of a movie film. That's kind of my favorite example to go to. Is a movie film will have picture, 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 and they basically show it frame after frame. And with that, you get the illusion of movement of an actual video. So that's how we experience reality. It's frame after frame after frame after frame, billions of frames per second. So you get that illusion. And so what you're kind of doing is knowing that there's a frame that already exists in a spot that you want to be in. And so you shift to that frame, usually by tapping into the frequency that is attached to that frame. So everything being vibration, frequency, all that type of stuff. That's kind of the main thing, is to be tapping into the frequency of knowing and just feeling that you're already in that frame that you want to go to. So you resonate with that frequency and you shift closer and closer to that frequency of that frame. So it's more like physics based, if you will.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. And I was kind of thinking also, like, it has to do with desire, some sort of desire,
Yes.
because healing can be very difficult sometimes, especially when you already are in pain. But to shift frames into something that you really, really want is so much easier than to heal something within you that is not so I was
Not
about
so
to say
easy.
interesting,
Yeah.
but yeah, but
Yeah.
well, if you're already in pain, you have some difficulty to focus on the good outcome of it. So it's important how to slightly find that feeling, that emotion that is connected to this frame of the things that you want to shift into. So how should you access that? How should you get to that state of mind to go into that frame that you want to be in?
It come down to the visualizations of, if you have a fork in the road, are you going to continue to go down the path of pain and suffering, or are you going to go down the path of positive growth and what your true self wants to really go down? So it's willpower, kind of have that willing to be like, okay, I'm not going to go down the path that I have been going down this whole time, even though you might think that that's the only path that you have. I'm only going to be in pain, I'm only going to be suffering, all the type of stuff. There's always a choice. There's always this fork that you can always choose the different paths, different outcomes. And so
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's awesome, Cody, because Louise Hay, she comes to mind. Her book, Heal Your Body, was a big one in my life when I was working for a doctor way back in the 80s. And she healed herself from ovarian cancer. They wanted to operate. And she said, I'm going to work on this myself. And she healed herself. And in her book, her first little blue book, real thin, it told the thought processes that create the illness and the words to say to reverse it. So I would check it out with the patients that came in the doctor's office. So just one example that stands out in my mind is bedwetting, usually caused by fear of a parent, usually the father. So a father brought in his son for bedwetting, and I'm going, huh? And so I would just I worked for him for quite a few years, and I would check out things all the time with that book. And so I knew that it worked. I knew that the thought process that create your illnesses, you can reverse it. So I knew that was possible.
Yeah, well, I definitely know it's possible. I'm just trying to get to that, how to describe, because I think, and I do know that a lot of people are wondering on how to, because this is basically manifesting into something new. So manifesting and accessing the superpower of seeing frames, it's connected to each other, or almost the same thing. But sometimes it's you get locked in your mind when you're trying to find out how to move forward, how to access the way to manifest, and you need sometimes to get some more tools on how to access. So that is why I'm going with those questions. how do we get those tools? Are we using our feelings, emotions, or visualization, or to add to this marvelous superpower of changing reality?
Yes. Well, I always go back to the mechanism of how life exists, basically, and it all starts with the belief system, like I said before, as their foundation. When you have the belief system that you'll always go towards what is most beneficial to you, and you'll always go away from what is less beneficial to you. That's just how we kind of, manifest life. And so if you have the belief that being in suffering and pain is actually what is most beneficial to you, because the opposite of healing or whatever seems so hard that it's not beneficial, then you're always going to go for pain and suffering just because you think that it's beneficial to you. So it's changing the belief system and definition around, okay, healing is actually not hard. It is what is going to be more beneficial to me. Therefore, I'm going to move towards healing.
Mm.
Mhm.
So now we are tapping into the universal law of
Yes.
attraction. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need to change your mindset, and to
Well,
believe. Mm.
yes, if you just like give Jesus, Sananda, Yeshua, as an example, when he was doing healing, they would come to him and he would say, do you believe you can be healed? And then, yeah, well, yes. And so then they were healed. So
Mhm.
therefore he told us how to do it. It's like he
Mm.
gave the best example, because like one person said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I could be healed. So Jesus tried to tell us it wasn't him that was doing it. It was you. You are the one that's doing it.
Yeah, your own belief systems. Oh,
Mhm.
that is very important key, and I'm glad you actually described that example to add to what Cody just said, because a lot of people using tools, physical tools, to when in worshiping, you have the crucifix, or you can have a place in nature, and of course there can be like in nature, there are so many portals and so many energetic points that are magical within themselves, and then also amplifies the energy. But that is also that you are placing your belief systems into a tool to access. And that brings us into ceremony, that sometimes a ceremony can serve its purpose if you are using it with the, shall we say, good intention or right intention,
Mhm.
because everything is tools. So it's not that I'm asking people to start worship things, but it's a tool.
Mhm.
Yes.
Am I
Well,
clear?
yeah. And I would always say that tools, at least how Bashar would say it, and then how I kind of do as well, is that they're permission slips to get to a place that you already can do without them, but it allows you to get to them with it like easier, so to speak, because you have that something attached to it that says, oh yeah, this crystal is what's making me healed, or it's allowing me to become more of myself and all that type of stuff. But it's still just a permission slip that allows you to get that thing done. It's the medium step, the in between, if you will. But technically, you don't need that in between if you already have that kind of frequency in mind that you're shifting to. You are your primary tool.
Yeah. I think that is a lot of the topics that are circulating right now, that to lose the tools and slide into your own belief systems of you. I don't know if you have noticed lately, but there has been a lot of focusing on these holidays from a lot of places, actually. And on how to celebrate and why we are celebrating like Christmas and other festives. And for me, I think it's a tool, and most of people know that the stories behind ain't the whole truth. It's a symbolic mostly, and still there are, yeah, should I say, there has been a lot of talk about the belief systems in the tools. So that is what we are clarifying, that the tools by itself aren't the means. It's just a helpful help to get where you're supposed to go in the process. So I just needed to say that. Yeah, how do you see it?
Well, I was
Mhm.
supposed to go into like amplify or not amplify, but like how I use a lot of crystals for that kind of, you know, type of thing, but it's not the crystal that is technically doing the work, as you know, like you know, Johnnie said before. It's not like a person can do it for you. It's not like the crystal or the tool can do it for you. It's basically giving you the frequency that you can resonate with so that you change first, and it kind of reflects outside of you. So it's just giving me a frequency to tap into and to resonate with, and therefore I'm the one that's really doing the work.
So that is a superpower.
Yes. Yeah.
Your belief
Yeah.
system is your superpower.
Yes. Yeah.
And to caption on that is, I've recently used Saint Germain's your mighty I am presence to command things, and that is using your superpower. So I believe the ascended masters are here, that are helping us a lot right now, because they have had a human experience. And so if we can glean knowledge from the ascended masters, they are here to help us. Yes, we have angels around us and our guides and everything, they're around us, but angels, not having had a human experience, sometimes it's hard for them to get through to us. And in fact, and it's really hard sometimes. But ascended masters have had a human experience. They have had a body. They do know how to get out of what we are into, because they've done it. They ascended, and they are here to help us. And so I have started recently, I've known about the violet flame, but I've never actually used it consistently, which I do now every day. And I use my mighty divine I am presence to command things that I want or do not want in my life. And I can't say, I know Saint Germain's really helping so many people with the violet flame. And then there's other ascended masters that are helping too. And different people connect to different ones. So I think I like to use superheroes as an example, because all of us, like I recently, you know, I live in like a cowboy town, and I was at a table full of my relatives, and I said, who's your favorite superhero, you know? And they just kind of looked at me, and I said, oh, come on now, I know you guys have one. And so they each named their superhero when I pinned them down. So they each had one, but they didn't want to say who their superhero was, you know? And it was like light switch turned on in their head, only they didn't know why. Because whatever superhero you are leaning towards, I believe that those are the qualities that you have that you can embrace if you so choose. So one person said Wonder Woman, one said Black Panther, one said Captain America. You know, it was just so exciting to see, because it was like a light switch went off in their head, and I wasn't even telling them, I mean, I could see it, and it was like so cool, because you're so used to being beaten down by the world. You don't realize you have this power in you, and it's so exciting to turn it on. And if you can use a superhero in a movie to do it, I say go for it, you know. So
Yeah, especially nowadays with most movies being some form of a superhero, Marvel and DC and all that type of stuff being kind of the primary movies that are coming out. It's easy for people to resonate with that now. They kind of get the idea of a person who's powerful usually goes through some type of, you know, not traumatic, but some type of, you know, beginning and, you know, evolution of their powers and all that type of stuff. So they kind of get the idea of it a lot easier now, rather than us being like, what's your favorite saint? What's your favorite angel? Or all that stuff. That stuff might be like a little out there for them. Therefore, they're not as connected with it, or not as resonated with it. But heroes you can resonate pretty easily with, you know.
yes, well, I found out long ago, and that is, if you think of Creator Source as being our ultimate superhero, he when I had my 2-week awakening, it was so powerful, and it ended up scaring me, so I asked for it to be taken away. But what I saw was God talks to us through books, through movies, through people, through everything. He's always talking to us. So right now, especially in the world where movies are what most people go to and resonate with, I believe that that's a powerful tool for people to connect with, because our ultimate superhero is trying to get through to us and tell us we're part of him. He's a part of us. We're all one. So superheroes, you all are. We are our own superhero, but we just have to believe it and connect to it.
Mm. So believing in that, because I also do believe, you know, that that signs are everywhere, just that we should be aware of them and look for them. So based upon what you're saying here, like these beautiful movies are here for a purpose. So what do you say about the new Avatar movie? Because is it right on time, or have you seen it?
I'm
No, we don't
about
have a
to
movie.
pretty soon.
Yeah, we don't have a movie theater here, but I've read 2 enlightened people that have given a review of it without being a spoiler.
Mhm.
Okay, because you don't want to spoil the movie. And Ralph Smart is one. He did a YouTube on it. If anyone wants to look that up, it's excellent, because people were asking him about the messages in the new Avatar movie. But I believe that one is a really powerful one, just from what I've heard, and I can't wait to see it. I do know that the first Avatar movie I saw on just the normal screen, and then I went back and saw it in 3D with my grandkids and my daughter, and it was so much more powerful because I was flying on those things. And the tree of life is like holding all the knowledge, and that the trees hold all the knowledge, and everyone working together as one and being connected to nature. There's so many messages in the first movie. I can't even imagine what's going to be happening with the way of the water, because we know water is like, this is really powerful. So I can't wait for that one. And we don't have a movie theater in this town. The closest movie theater is an hour away, and it wouldn't probably be showing it anyway. So I'll have to wait till I can access it on my TV, which isn't as cool as watching it 3D, because then you get the full experience.
So I haven't watched it yet either, but you said it was going to be taking place with water.
It's
Or
called The Way of Water.
okay. So shall we move into how water is a significant item for right now?
Well, I know you have a lot to say on that, Eva, so why don't you talk about
No,
water?
no. No.
Pass.
I was hoping Cody should take it away, but water is important because there's a lot of things happening in this moment, with the fusion, for example, the electricity and for the whole global resources with the fusion, and that is quite interesting. But that is not the thing that came to mind. I was more thinking about water's essence for our livings and connection to the God source and all those magnificent things. And I do know that Cody has spoken of it before.
Yes, yeah, water is quite powerful, especially it's so diverse. You think just water is water, but each location that you get water has a different frequency to a different memory locked within that water, because the water does hold memory to it within it, all that type of stuff. And so if you get water from a very clean, pure place, the memory within it is clean and pure. It has lots of information within it. Therefore, when you take it within you, that information goes into you as well. We ourselves are about 70 to 80 something plus percent water, so we're mostly water ourselves. Therefore, having a clean source of water that we can have kind of replaces our water within us, and therefore we become clean, we become pure, and we have a better, basically just health in general, better daily life, if you will, because you have a cleaner body to work with.
And in one of our earlier talks, we were talking about how our consciousness affected how we spoke to each other and to plants and to water molecules, and how our way of being is affecting the molecules in the water. So for this movie now to actually be about or have a deep connection with water is kind of significant for our time. And wow.
Yeah, I think it's a big symbolization of us changing into a more emotional state of consciousness, where water is really can convey energy very easily. It's a very good, conductor of energy, so to speak, but it's also a very good conductor of emotions and feelings, all that type of stuff within it. So just like it has memory, it also has feeling to it. It has a consciousness of itself, and it's affected by every other consciousness around it and all energies around it. So it's very adaptable, so to speak, or it changes very easily. And so the way of the water is definitely going to be a symbolization of us being able to change very easily, being able to accept emotions, feelings, and being able to change those emotions and feelings into something more beneficial.
Yes, well, and we talked about Masu Emoto's study on how words change the water molecule into something beautiful or ugly, like the word love and the word hate. And yesterday, I got this article on Facebook of this frozen lake in China having 3 different manifestations of the water molecule. And I just drew that up.
Yeah, I saw that earlier today.
So there's one. My screen's jumping around so much. I don't know.
Well, let's see if we can put you there.
And then here's another one. Okay. Oh.
Yeah, it looks like an eye.
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful one.
Yeah, very clean. Wow, that's beautiful.
And that was on one lake in China.
Wow.
Frozen, just like nobody did that. It was just the
Yeah.
water did it. So
Yeah.
whether that's a recent manifestation of the light codes that are coming in, because I've never seen anything like that.
Me neither.
So it kind of blew my mind. And I know there's a lot of light codes coming in, and people are, you know, it's really exciting actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything like that before, Cody? I mean, snowflakes,
Yes,
we have seen those small molecules, but
Yes.
not
Mhm.
this big.
Yeah, large ones. Yeah, the large ones I haven't seen before, but I've definitely know about even like designer snowflakes where you just change the frequency that is going into the water molecule as it's freezing. You change the frequency a little bit and it changes shape because it reacts to the frequency that it's absorbing. Therefore, those larger ones, I definitely agree with Johnny that it could be like an overall energy light code, or just frequencies that are coming down in that specific location that is changing it. And the three photos from the last one to the first one, it seems like it's getting more and more complex. The last one seems the most like simple, so to speak, so it might be like not a lower vibration, but a more simplified vibration. Then the next one seemed a little bit more complex. And the last one, which would be the first one that she showed us, it seems like the most complex because it has the main, center point, but all the other points that are coming back into it. And so it's very like unfolding onto itself. Very cool frequencies. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. I also believe that these molecules are holding vibrations, and I have been sharing one moment with you before about a healing session that we did for many, many years ago. And we had a glass of water, and we were a group of 4 or 5 people, and we were doing healing on one of the participants. And there was a glass of water in that room close to this man. And when the session was over, the glass of water had shifted in colors. It wasn't clear anymore. It was like, this, yeah, I can see Johnny knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. And it was so dirty, if I can use that word. And to me, that was a living example of how affected we are around each other, because we are also having a lot of these molecules within ourselves. And if a glass of water gives that visible change, then we could use our imagination to actually step into oneself and think about how I feel or how my body is feeling when I'm around toxic people or in toxic environments. And that is pretty fascinating.
Yes. Oh gosh, I have such a wonderful example to share.
Yeah.
My niece gave me for my birthday in November, a lady came into town. She comes here once every 2 months for a reflexology treatment. So I do reflexology myself, but it's hard to do it on yourself. And so I was excited to have this opportunity. Well, I always soak people's feet in Epsom salts, and I know that and I add some essential oils and stuff into it too, because I know that's really powerful before I do it. Well, she had this tub that was clear, had water in it, and there was an ionization type of a pump in it. And literally these white crystals came out of my feet. And I've seen pictures before. I didn't know this is what it was going to be, but I've seen pictures that reminded me of people having, and their water came out really, really dirty. I mean, depending on the toxicities in their body, like you say, that glass of water was, but on mine, I had these white crystals. And so I go, what is that? And she said it was chlorine. And I said, oh, well, I don't drink tap water. She goes, do you take showers? And in the, city water has tap water, has chlorine in it, which it doesn't where I'm at, because I'm on well water, but in Boise, where I was for 15 years, yes. So I absorbed the chlorine, it came out in the water, and I was like blown away. She goes, yours isn't too bad, you should see some of them. And I said, well, I've seen pictures of really dirty water, but I didn't know that's what it was going to be. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then when she did the foot rub itself, she didn't necessarily do like the reflexology points. She was all in feeling the energy in your feet and what point and what's wrong. It's connected. All the points in your feet are connected to different organs in your body. She felt different. She feels these different things and tells you what's going on in your body that you need to take care of, like a problem. So she gave an example. One woman, she said, you need to go to have this test on your heart, this certain test. And when she went to her doctor, she asked for that test. And he was amazed because he said, I don't normally do that kind of test, but she's literally saved your life by asking you to do this kind of test. So she's dealing with water, frequencies, vibrations. And I was like blown away. I was totally blown away.
So if we are going to look for signs here, based upon what we have spoken of now and the pictures that you showed us from that lake in China, that is quite interesting that it's taking place in China, because they have this outbreak of the virus again. So something might be there to clean the energetic stuff. Now I'm speculating here. That's not the whole truth. It's better to say that. I'm just speculating here, but that could actually be the case here.
Could.
Yes, yeah, there's a lot to heal in China, not just the air and viruses and all that type of stuff, but the consciousness of China is changing so dramatically right now that a lot of energy has to go into that place. Yeah.
Because and correct me, Cody, if I'm wrong, but hasn't there been like earlier back in the days they were describing China as the golden sun?
Yeah, it was a place of like golden sun. It would be there's also Japan that kind of had that. Rising sun was the kind of term that they use, but yeah, in Japan it's more gold and red. Red and gold are kind of like these power colors, so to speak, for them. And so it was pretty.
Because something in the sun came up in my mind when Johnnie showed the picture, because if you looked at the picture, there was a lot of golden light in that picture. Do you still have it? So when you showed it, it was not just a snowflake. Yeah, you see, there is this golden light. And see how it's pouring in from above and actually moves from the sun to the center of the snowflake. That is pretty amazing.
I'm sorry my screen's jumping, you guys. It messes it up. So maybe we can post it under the.
Yeah, please do.
The pictures under.
In the comment fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 3 pictures. So.
Yeah, well, that's pretty amazing. Something's great is taking place right now, and we do know that.
Yeah.
Tapping into our superpowers too. So, is there any superpower that you feel that you want to express more of?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, John.
No, you go ahead, Cody.
Okay, well, it was just something that came to mind when you were talking about the sun and the energies. One thing that I would do is like, would draw upon the energies of certain, places or frequencies and stuff like that. So either drawing from the earth, so I get more connected with earth, grounded, all that type of stuff. That's kind of more of a simple chakra type of healing of, getting grounded and healing your chakras and stuff. But more of a superpower is actually when I connect in with the sun. And it's basically like I'm absorbing the energy of the sun, amplifying it within myself and projecting it out from me. So I become a sun myself. So I become the projector of light,
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's interesting you said that, Cody, because and Eva's question, because I've been working with the sun in two ways. And the afternoon sun shines through the southern window on my bed. And so I lay with my head to the north, and I like take in the rays of the sun, and I say, I accept all the healing and gifts that the sun has to offer me according to my highest good. And I do that on sunny days. It hasn't been sunny too often. And then the white light meditation I do, that's changed so many things for me, through Saint Germain's white light meditation, the seventh ray. You say your heart is a golden sun, and you focus on your heart as the golden sun while you're doing that meditation. And so, yeah, I've been working with the sun, and I didn't even realize it until we vocalized it right now. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I also got this mandala, and the concept of mandala, holding a vibration or energy. And when I saw that picture, when the sun rays came from the sun in a straight line over the water, and as you added before, the water is a conductor. Yeah, conductor, and enters into the center of this formation, the snowflake, water flake, or mandala. It's definitely a vibration, definitely. So it's quite interesting, and I wish that I thought of this before, so I can go into that energy before, but I have.
Well, now that's why we're doing this, so we can learn new
definitely.
things.
Yeah, definitely. But back to the question about superpowers, because we all have, we watch these movies, and we are seeing both the bigger picture and the smaller picture, etc. And we do have our superpowers, and we have powers that we are more or less longing for, and think that we have, etc. I know that for once, that when I was a child, I got this superpower mixed up, because I definitely believed that I could walk on water, because I walked on these water puddles. So what's the big deal? But
Yes.
yeah, that is a superpower. Do you have any superpowers that you have noticed that you have developed more of lately, like telepathic ways of communication, healing, energy, feelings, auras? What? Is there something that you have noticed have increased within your use and experiences?
Yeah, mine would be the projection of energy. And so being able to literally feel the energy push out from you, like feeling your aura, basically. Like some people can see the aura and all that type of stuff. I can feel it more intense now. So, and I can change it, so to speak, of being able to like project more energy out, and you can really feel it going out, going out, going out, or I can draw it back in. And usually that's just a visualization people do to kind of either keep their energy within or project it out. But for me, it's literally like having a second skin around me. I can feel exactly where that skin and that membrane starts and stops. You know?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So how are you going to use that skill?
It'd be mainly the healing, like when we do the crystal meditations, I project the energy out from, it's basically me resonating with the frequency of the crystal, putting into me and resonating that out to you or the person that is receiving it. And so with more ability to project that energy out, the more I'm able to actually have the true frequency come through and go straight to you. So it's less of a, a downgrade, if you will, from the actual original energy that I'm tapping into. So it's more pure, if you will.
Awesome.
So is that what you are going to offering to us today?
Yes, yeah, I was kind of wanting to. It was the sapphire kind of came out for me. It was the one that we used last time, but I used it in conjunction with another one to kind of amplify it. This time I want to do it pure sapphire, especially if we're talking about superpowers and unlocking them within. Sapphire is really good for connecting with your true self and kind of unlocking all the stuff that is you, So it's a really good one for that.
That's wonderful. So 2023 is coming up, just a few days away. So what is the superpower that humanity is going to develop during 2023? What do you see? Just speculating, of course.
Yeah, my first notion is empathy, more empathy. Even though that might not be, technically a superpower, I still believe it to be a foundation of needing to be able to understand the other person's perspective and, make not judgments, but actions based off of your understanding of their perspective. So it's a much more awareness of others. So.
I personally hope that it's going to be healing. So, because we all need to heal ourselves before we can help others. So I'm working on self-healing myself. And I think that would be a wonderful thing to manifest into 2023.
Well, I think that you both mentioned quite big superpowers, even though we consider it to be the basic foundation in human lives, it is still a superpower that needs to be brought forward in able to move forward in this ascension process too. So I do believe that 2023 is going to be more of a awareness year, where people are starting to actually notice their own superpowers. I'm glad you brought this up, Johnnie. Yeah, people are going to be more aware about their own possibilities to manifest and express and manifest their own emotions and so on. Their own superpowers, discovering their own superpowers.
Well, one thing I learned as a Buddhist practicing meditation is there are superpowers that come with that, and they don't talk about it, but when it starts manifesting, it never leaves you. Whether you stop meditating or you don't, you always retain that. So the work that you do on yourself is everlasting, and it's your choice, like to want to try to do it, like your belief, like Cody says. But I didn't get into Buddhism or meditation knowing about this. I found out later, and I wouldn't recommend anyone just doing it because they think they're going to get a superpower, because it doesn't work that way. But you do get gifts. When you put the work in, you get gifts, and maybe the gifts are already there, which I believe they are. And that just helps clear the field and manifest in you.
Mm.
It's amazing. It's magical. I know, just a short example. When I was in my 20s, a guy told me, and he was in like combat situation or training where they had to hike for hours and miles and with backpacks on and everything. And everybody would be so tired. And he would sit and meditate for 5 minutes and have his strength back. That, to me, some people would think is a superpower. And I didn't remember that till years later when I started manifesting things as I meditated. I started experiencing a lot of this. And so there are you don't realize how much there is, how many gifts we have, as long as we open up to them and learn to use them and accept them. And
And many of those gifts that we are talking about, I'm going to add up with that Buddhism and what Cody said earlier about, like expanding your physical parts, like a hand. And because that's the first time I ever heard about that experience from a monk, a Buddhist monk. And he was on a stage and he did a visualization with his audience. And they were, during this visualization, they were asked to close their eyes and just keep repeating a mantra or something that he's been giving them. And one of the participants open up an eye and just to have a glimpse of what the monk was doing on the stage. And he was conducting a lot of movements around. And when he were, going on there and asked them to open up their eyes, he held up his both hands, and one of his hands was twice the size as the other. And that totally blown away the audience because everyone saw the same thing. So of course he doesn't go around with a twice as large hand today because it's changed back. But everything is possible and nothing is impossible. And of course that takes practice. And we do know about the Shaolin monks, about their skills that they have, how they can work with their body temperatures and how they can they are super
they can float.
They are so amazing.
Yes,
I do love to dive into those stories and doing earlier back in the day some research about them because they are so amazing with their own superpowers.
Yes.
And now it turns out that we have our own Shaolin monk here who has experienced the same thing. So
I have some stories. I haven't perfected a lot of those, but I have experienced part of that type of stuff, the temperature fluctuation or control within the body. I've experienced the changing of the hand. I didn't expand it. It was more shifting the bones within it to have it look a different way. And then other ones, like how Johnnie was saying about the walking and stuff like that. When I first got into really diving deep into what my body was able to do, I was hiking a lot. So I was always hiking about a mile or longer or something like that up into this quartz mountain. So it's literally a mountain that was filled with quartz, and it was right in my backyard when I was living in Prescott, Arizona. And while walking, I started developing this kind of a floating sensation when I would walk, to where even if I was going uphill, it's almost like the hill was pushing me up and I wasn't walking up it. I was just floating basically up it. And that's kind of it brings me back to the stories of Jesus and his disciples. They were constantly walking and they didn't get tired because they were just floating basically across, all those long tracks and stuff like that. They didn't feel the tiredness because the energy was just constantly flowing within them.
Mhm.
So yeah, those are
And
some fun
and
moments.
there, you know, a lot of people may have controversy about this, but supposedly Jesus studied in the Far East and learned a lot
Yes.
of this
Mhm.
stuff. So, and I believe that's true. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
I believe that
definitely.
too. So
yeah.
that he went on a desert walk and ended up studying with the Eastern philosophy
Mhm.
in the age of 30 something.
Yeah,
So
well, yeah, it's always like the funniest, not joke, but type of thing of like, it's been the Bible is super bad at storytelling because you went from Jesus as an age of 13 to 30. So 13 to 30, you don't know what happened in between those times. And it's like, that's a pretty big chunk of life that's missing, you know? You know?
I believe, you know, at the Council of Nicaea took out many, many books in the Bible and changed
Yes, yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
supposedly
Mhm.
Revelations is the only book not touched. I don't know if that's
Mhm.
true, but I do know
Mhm.
they changed so many and they left out all the magical, wonderful,
Mhm.
mostly wonderful things. So yeah, you're right.
but we definitely need to explore that thing. We need to have a new episode talking about the miraculous body changes that we can do with our superpowers.
Yeah, it's really good just for simple stuff. Like if you have arthritis or something like that in your hand, if you like are on the phone constantly or something like that, your hand kind of gets crunched up, so to speak. It doesn't really expand fully. And
Mm.
so that was actually what I used it mainly for is at that time, I would sometimes play video games for too long and therefore my hands would get crumped up and uh, usually the fingers will close in on themselves. Usually the, you know, thumb or these two fingers. So the middle finger and ring finger will kind of close in on themselves. The more that you use technology and the less grounded you are. So it kind of becomes like, you know, almost one finger, so to speak. And so what you do with that is you literally shift the bone structure to you spread out your hands and the fingers so they are more in line with what it naturally should be. You know?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's funny because I remember 3 Christmases ago, my thumb was stuck like that and I couldn't bend it. I couldn't bend it. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I worked on it, just touching it and it's fine now. And my grandson, when he was about 8, had what do you call it? Like a wart on his finger and he didn't like it. And that was back before they had, you know, treatments and stuff. And he said, look, Grandma, my wart's gone. I said, well, what happened? And he said, I made it go away. I just pressed on it and told it to go away and it did. I
Yeah.
recently reminded him of that.
Mhm.
And he said, oh, I forgot about that. Because I told him he could heal himself of his like irritable bowel syndrome colitis thing he has. And I reminded him of how he healed the wart, made it disappear off his finger.
You taught him how to use his superpower. You are a true way shower.
I'm trying
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
The
So-
belief system is a big one of their mindset, what they allow to get through. That's a hard one.
Sure is. So I'm thinking about, shall we try to close this down with a with Cody's stone healing
Yes, yes,
energy,
please. Yes,
Shaolin
please.
master.
I've been looking forward to this.
To blow the old out and get some new energies in here.
Yes.
Yes. And so hopefully you can see it well, but again, this is the sapphire.
So beautiful.
Yeah. And so I shall be projecting this energy to you. And, you know, if you're wanting to receive it, all you have to do is just want it and you shall receive. If you don't want it, you can block it. If you don't need it, you know, it's all good. Yeah. But yeah. relatively short crystal session, but and it did say that it'd be more integrating at night when you sleep. So more energy to come as later.
Wow.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Yes. Wow.
Hmm. And with that, we're going to let that energy work its magic, work its superpower throughout the whole globe, integrating and interacting with every one of us. And I want to say thank you so much for being here, Cody and Johnnie, and
Thank you, Eva, for hosting us.
hoping that the new year will bring so much positive energy to what is going to take place during the next year. So,
Thank you.
and the final words?
Flow with love.
With love.
I'll go with that too, Cody. Flow with love.
And I said, peace out and peace in. And see you
Good one.
next year. Love you all.
Love you
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye-bye.
So, and we stop the live, and I'm going